All right, welcome back to Sarasota. We've got some more open updates from our open crew, Tyler Kinley, Ian Toner, and Zach Smith. Guys, round 2 and round 1 have proven to display a lot of, what am I saying here? Have proven to show a lot of upsets and have dictated what these power pools are going to look like. So looking at some of the second round, some of the games, and the results there, what are we seeing in the different pools and who's going to end up in our pools? Let's start with Pool A. Zach, you've been covering some of these teams.
Well, in Pool A, basically, Revolver has won both of their games, and due to the fact that they're into power pools. They basically if you have Bravo versus Revolver happening, Bravo needs to win and for GOAT to lose in order to advance to power pools. So GOAT basically controls their own destiny.
So that's next round.
That is next round, yes. What happened last round, Revolver was able to take down the Condors. I think it was 15-8. GOAT Bravo was a really, really tight game. It started off in Bravo's favor. They would hold on. They held on O-line. GOAT turned it over within their own end zone off a really good pull, and Bravo got an upwind break, and then it became a battle. GOAT broke back and forth. And the real story was that neither D-line was able to really work it when given the chance to break upwind. So GOAT eventually got a break, got 2 breaks, an upwind and then a downwind, and they were able to pull away and get a 15-13 win. But both of these teams have a lot to worry about if the wind picks up, with their D-lines not able to punch and break opportunities without, GOAT wasn't able to score without John Hassel on the field or Adrian Yearwood. So, that could prove to be a problem later in the tournament.
Okay. So you were watching that GOAT Bravo game. Mm-hmm. Have you watched much Revolver so far today?
I watched Revolver a little bit in the first round when they were playing GOAT because Ian and I walked over when it was 11-11 thinking it was going to be much more of a battle. Revolver picked it up, got fired up, and won 15-11. Revolver looks super good, really smooth, and I was actually talking to Phil Watanabe from GOAT, and I asked him about Revolver, and he said the thing that makes Revolver so good is that they have so much ammo. When they have their D-line players out there, they have guys that could just work the disc upfield. They have their studs on O, but then they have their studs on D, and they don't need the guys on O-line to come play on defense in order to get an upwind break. So Revolver has it, and everyone seems to know it.
So Ian, let's look at Pool B. We've got Ironside, Truck, Sub-Zero. What's been going on in that pool?
Okay, so first off, let's just get Ironside out of the way. They've been cruising through their competition. They're probably going to be the best rested heading into the matchup against Truck Stop, which is at 4 o'clock, I believe. Truck Stop just had a very interesting game that was streamed live over the USAU website. Sub-Zero took half, 8-5. We saw a fair amount of Truck misfires, whether it be hucks that were going out of bounds, kind of break throws that were getting turfed. They were just generally not clicking offensively. And when Sub-Zero got their turns, they were able to have Eric Johnson huck it to Greg Aronson. Tom Murray was getting open a lot as well, and they were cashing in on those break opportunities. So Sub-Zero did a great job in the first half. The second half, Truck made the adjustments they needed. They started getting a little flatter on Sub-Zero's big throwers. They started tightening the screws offensively, and they went on a ridiculous run. After it was tied at 9s, they went on a 6-2 run to close out the game and win 15-11. So their defense, I know Matt Gordon was playing well. George Hughes Strange, even though he usually plays offense, he was doing well defensively. So Truck has some momentum heading into this Ironside game. The question is, how will the momentum factor into a team that factor into going against an opponent who has fresher legs today?
So both those teams are through to power pools, regardless of the
yes, Ironside and Truck Stop are through.
Okay. Pool C though is not quite the same as
Pool C's crazy.
Expected.
Pool C's crazy, just as expected. I think people knew it was going to be kind of wild, and it's proven to be anything and everything that we thought it would be. We just saw Furious take on Southpaw. Sometimes you see a team just match up really well against another one, and it really looked that way in terms of Southpaw's D on Furious. It got windy, and Furious has always been a little bit less effective in the wind, maybe more so than a couple other teams. And Southpaw was able to jump out to a huge 8-4 lead to take half, and rode it to a win. It was a pretty dominant performance by Southpaw, and I have to say I was impressed. They have a coach, they have a system, and it's vert stack, under. They call it chop, 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 and it's basically we do what we do it as best as we can, we do it right, and we hope that plus the conditioning that they go through is going to win. The other game that we saw was Ring of Fire versus Machine. That was a battle for a while to start. Machine actually took the lead. I think you were watching the game from half after that.
I caught a little bit at the end of the first half and the start of the second half. Machine was up 6-4, and then Ring rattled off 4 straight breaks to take half, 8-6. And then coming out of half, Ring's the defensive scheme that predominantly worked for Ring and generated the breaks they needed were against Machine's host stack. Ring would front 3 cutters and have a deep defender kind of hang out behind one of the other cutters, and it would look like you'd have an open deep throw. And then once the throw went up, the Ring defender would engage and be able to get there for a D. Josh Berkowitz on Ring, Roy Matthews on Ring were both effective at getting those deep Ds. So that was the story in that game.
So we're seeing teams that we didn't necessarily see do super well during the regular season at Labor Day, at ECC.
Absolutely.
Compete, and I think we're looking at Furious as that indicator, as that barometer of doing well in the season, and whether or not that translates to here.
Right.
So what's happening with Furious?
It's hard to say. Furious came into the Northwest Regionals very single-mindedly prepared to beat the 2 teams it needed to, which in their mind was Sockeye and Rhino. So they literally practiced specific offenses and defenses to take on those teams. When they arrive here, they've never seen some of the teams. They have to play their game. I think without specific schemes, they've struggled a little bit. That's clearly evident. They go up 4-1 on Southpaw, and Southpaw takes half 8-4. That's indicative of Southpaw making a couple adjustments and Ring not finding a groove and just sort of falling, like the wheels falling off a little bit. Furious, the wheels falling off a little bit. So to round up Pool C, Southpaw takes down Furious, which guarantees Furious goes down to the lower pools. And Ring beats Machine, which guarantees Ring moves on. Ring's record is now 2-0, Furious is 0-2. And the battle for second place is now with Machine and Southpaw in this next round. That's going to be a fun one to watch.
That'll be at 3 o'clock.
That'll be at 3. And it's an interesting one to look at because watching Machine, they're a team whose depth is questionable. Their offensive starting line can clearly get it done against good teams. But they've struggled to have a really clean defensive offense. That's going to become a factor, as well as the performance just through the fatigue of the day of their O-line. And through the tournament in general. But this is like for the power pools, which is huge. Southpaw's coach, Snader, talked specifically about their workouts, and he said almost every weekend they go Saturday 8 to 3, Sunday 8 to 1. That's grueling. That's a lot. And granted, they probably don't practice as a team as much during the week. In my opinion, their conditioning really shows. So that could be the real difference maker in this last round.
Interesting. Now, Pool D has not gotten much attention, even though there's 2 very strong teams in that pool, being Chain Lightning and Double Wide. We haven't heard much noise from Pool D. What's going on there?
I had the chance. Sadly, we only have 3 guys going out to four pools, so we tried to round up as much as we could. I talked to Julian Dahl and a couple other Chain players. They said that they were able to beat Oakland pretty decisively and come out and play a complete game that they're proud of, whereas against Mad Club, they played a good middle game. Their start was a little bit weak and their finish was a little bit weak. Regardless, they weren't challenged by either. I think the same can be said for Double Wide. So that pool has just played out to seed, and the only game that is really going to be to watch is the Chain Double Wide game in terms of who brings a win into the power pools.
Okay. So it sounds like we've got a pretty exciting last round for a lot of these pools then. Which games are you guys going to be focusing on specifically?
Well, I haven't really set my heart on anything specific, especially after listening to these 2 guys talk about those games. But I do know that the Johnny Bravo Revolver game is very important. If Johnny Bravo is able to upset Revolver, that will throw a lot of things haywire. The main thing that Bravo will have to do is to start using the brake side. When they were forced flick, every single thing was either, a short dump to the middle of the field or a four-side throw. When Goat switched the force to backhand, Johnny Bravo had no problem breaking the mark. So if they could spread out their offense and use the whole field, they might be able to take on a team like Revolver, especially with the speed of their handlers and the power of their deep game.
Before we let you guys go, are there any other notes of just notable players, any things that really wowed you so far today?
In terms of just sheer single big play, I haven't seen one that just took over a game. I noticed Andrew Sheehan's dump defense. He had a huge layout catch block on an Andrew Brown dump that helped really swing the momentum towards Machine's favor in that upset against Furious. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I've stuck to my Pool C, and there hasn't been a single play that you might expect out of like a Ken Porter or someone that really dominated a game. Southpaw scores very cleanly. There weren't that many that are just like wow plays.
Yeah.
I think George Hughes Strange has made some great catches for Truck Stop in Pool B, and I think if you're looking at Pool A, the star-studded cast of Revolver. Everyone's talking about Robbie Cahill, Bart Watson, Bo Kittredge. John Levy has been the one getting up and elevating to get the Ds that they need late in games, especially in the GOAT game. So hats off to him, and we'll look to see if he can keep it going.
All right, no Sky Playmaker shorts awarded just yet, but there's still plenty of games to be had.
That Shane Double-Wide game will be one.
Shane
That-
Double-Wide.
You might get some playmakers in there.
But
So.
that's the game to watch.
We might
It's
be
gonna
unloading all of our shorts.
Yes.
Yeah.
And let's say that
You want highlights.
There's a 3 p.m. round and a 4 p.m. round. The 3 p.m. it's got the Pool A and C. The 4 p.m. is Pool B and D. So pay attention to the Revolver, Bravo, and the Goat Condors and the Machine Southpaws.
Yeah.
For the pool.
Those are all at 3 o'clock.
Right, and then
So
the 4
everyone
o'clock
knows.
is the Pool B and D.
So we got our stream, our audio stream up and running, so we'll be chiming into you guys
great.
out in the
Awesome.
fields.
Fantastic.
And hopefully all systems will be go. Tyler Kinley, Ian Toner, and Zach Smith are Open Division reporters. Thanks, guys.
Thanks a
Eric.
lot, Elliot.
And I'm Elliot Trotter for Sky Magazine. Sweet. Rested, can you stop the recording?